everyone, welcome. You're watching Property Hotline with me, Kavita Krishnan, on India's first real estate business channel, Magicbricks Now. This is the show where you ask the questions and we get you answers from India's top property experts. Today we are answering questions related to buying, selling and investing in real estate. Our expert for the day, Mudassir Zaidi, joins us from Gurgaon. He is the National Director, Residential Agency at Knight Frank. Welcome, Mudassir. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Kavita. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure having you, Mudassir. Let's get started. Let's get on to the first caller today. Manik Trivedi, I am told, is on the line. Manik? Manik, can you hear me? Okay, I think there's a problem with Manik's call over there. We'll connect with him in a bit. Let's move on. Anil Malik has sent in his question via email. Now, Mudassir, Anil says that he's booked a 1.5 BHK flat in Kanjurmarg, Mumbai in a project called Runwal Forest. He's making slab-wise payments as he booked this property pre-launch. Next year, he'll complete 2 years of lock-in. The start of the project, he says, was delayed. So, should he now sell and book profits once the 2-year lock-in is over, or should he wait? How much growth can he expect? He booked a 750 square feet saleable area flat at about rupees 92 lakh. Now he's paid 25 lakh till date. What would you say? Should he hold or should he sell?
See, Kavita, we are at now, we've gone through a longest slowdown in the last 3 odd years where the overall market was quite muted. However, what we are seeing now since this festive season, Dussehra and Diwali has been decent for the Mumbai market. We've seen a renewed interest in people buying properties, and my sense is that this recovery will continue in a strong manner in the next few months as well. My suggestion to the buyer would be that he should take advantage of this upside that will come in as soon as the market starts firming up. We are seeing a lot more people now entering into the market again, and we expect that prices should start firming up, to some extent in times to come. So my sense is if it's held on for now. Runwal is a good developer. It's a decent property. Runwal Forest, a lot of people have bought in that. Once it is nearer to possession, I think he'll get a much higher upside as compared to now. My suggestion would be that he holds on.
Right. Mudassir, one thing that I wanted to ask you over here regarding this project. Now, this also comes within that Borivali National Park Reserve area. The NGT recently asked, the government not to kind of stop construction over there and all of that. So is that going to be an issue, or do you see that clearing up soon, like we saw in Noida, and which is also the reason why you're asking him to, kind of stay invested in this project?
See, this is, if you see what happened in Noida as well, obviously the NGT did delay the overall project, did delay the permissions, but public interest is going to be supreme. It's not going to be, all these finally will be, solved politically. If you initially saw that even in Noida, about a 10 kilometer radius was being asked for around the the bird area, and eventually it was a much smaller radius that they eventually agreed to. So all these things will be taken into account. I don't foresee any problems with this project, and it should. I mean, yes, it was slightly delayed, but the issues were with regard to other permissions and approvals as well. My sense is it should not be a problem. We should continue holding on.
Right, Anil, you should continue holding on to the project, and the developer is a marquee developer in the Mumbai market, so it makes sense to stay invested. And if you saw the chart that we put out earlier, rates in Kanjurmarg currently are trending at around 11,100 rupee per square foot. And though you would see that the market has kind of, gone down, but there is also a slight recovery that is in the offing. You can see that the market is slowly picking up, which is in line with what Mudassir was also telling us earlier. So stay invested. The buyers are coming back to the market, and you should see the market picking up from here on, and this matter should also hopefully get cleared up soon, right? Let's move on. Next viewer joins us on the phone. Ameya, I am told, has joined us. Ameya, what's your question?
Hi, I stay in Borivali West, and I'm looking for a purchase of property almost nearing 2 crores and all check payment, preferably in Borivali West or Kandivali West, and nearing completion or ready position, something of that sort.
Right, Ameya, any particular configuration you're looking at? 2, 3?
I stay on the Link Road. This is in the Link Road, Borivali West. So something which is nearby to my current house.
No. Are you looking at any particular configuration? Do you want like a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK?
Yes,
is there
preferably would be a 2 or 3 BHK, larger the better. But then I don't know whether it would fit in my budget, because my budget is around 2 to 2.25 CR. And I need all check payment. That is
okay. So let's ask Mudassir. Mudassir, what do you think? 2 to 2.5 crore is his budget. What can he buy in Borivali or Kandivali?
See, obviously, the areas are divided into west and east. The western side, where the callers currently stays, is largely smaller developers, local developers, and very peculiar to communities as well. So you have a lot of people in the Jain community and the Gujarati community staying there, and in terms of newer projects, whatever is coming up, at least with larger developers, my suggestion to the caller would be that he evaluates the eastern side, very, very seriously, because a lot more developers of larger repute, of better kinds are actually coming up there. So all the way from in Kandivali East, you have, going up the Lokhandwala area, to you have various other projects from Acme or Kanakya, or even the Oberois have started off, but it will be slightly higher than the budget. It starts off at above 2.5 crores. But I'm saying you have all these on the eastern side, which is far better as compared to the western side. If you're looking at newer projects from reputed developers, standard things, plus standard amenities, plus larger, complexes, etc. My suggestion would be that you look at the eastern side very, very actively. So there's Kanakya, there's Acme, there's Rivali Park. All of it would be, you would be able to get a 2 BHK around that budget that you're looking at, from 2 to 2.25.
Right. So, Ameya, look at the western side, the eastern sides of the suburbs is what Mudassir has to say. You should look at Kandivali East and Borivali East, where you have quite a few top rated developers, top ranking developers having their projects over there. And if you look at the rates, Kandivali East currently is trending at around 13,485 rupees per square foot. The chart did come up on the TV screen right now. So go ahead, look out for your, look at the properties over there, and if you have any problems, do come back to us. We'll help you out, right?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot for calling in. Let's move on. We have a question coming in from Pankaj Nayyar. He's written in on our website, www.mbnow.in. He says he's planning to buy a 3 BHK for end use. His workplace, Mudassir, is in Cyber Hub in Gurgaon. His budget is 70 lakh rupees. He's looking for a ready-to-move-in property or an under-construction property where he would get possession within a year. He would prefer to buy in sectors which lie before the toll. What would you suggest?
There is, Cyber Hub obviously is accessible from the National Highway 8. My suggestion is that he looks at New Gurgaon between sectors 81 to 95. However, these are not before the second toll. These are just after the second toll. There is not too much of property available in a 70 lakh budget towards much before the toll. The other option for him would be south of Gurgaon, as they call it, which is actually the Sona master plan. So this is much further away. So these two areas would be accessible to him. However, my suggestion between the two, since he's looking at possession nearer, I mean immediate or nearer, in the near future, New Gurgaon 81 to 95 should come in his budget. You have one is accessibility from National Highway 8 immediately available. Plus, there is, there are a number of developers that have already started giving possession, have already given possession in some projects as well. So there is Vatika who's given possession, there is Bestech who's given possession. There are many other developers who are in the process of giving it in the near term, in the next year and a half. So options will be available in these very, very actively. And in times to come, this area is beginning to settle down. Social infrastructure is started to come in terms of smaller basic needs. A lot of these amenities are available. Plus, accessibility via NH8 gets you to all the other markets of Gurgaon very, very quickly. So my suggestion would be 81 to 95, multiple developers available there, already given possession, and that's what he should be looking at.
Right, Mudassir, could you also give us a range, if you look at the price per square foot, what range can he expect?
See, the developer rates are in the range of about 4,500 to about 6,000, various projects. There are a number of investor flats available, people who had bought in earlier times in the same projects nearer to completion now. Those, because the NCR market has been going through a slowdown for quite some time, a lot of investors who had bought it for the sake of trading are now wanting to exit very actively. And therefore, options there could be available in the resale of under construction property at a even better rate. So I've seen deals happening in the range of 4 to 5,000 as well for the ones that I just mentioned. As in developer prices would be 4.5 to 6, whereas resale could be available at 4 to 4,500 very, very actively. So 1,000 square feet, 1,100 square feet flat could be available in that range that he's talking about. So he can actually look at a slightly larger one as well, between 1,000 to about 1,300 square feet could be made available in about 70 odd lakhs.
Right. So Anil, essentially it's a toss up between whether you're prepared to pay the toll for the next, I don't know how many years, or whether you want to invest in or buy into a property which is nearing possession. And like Mudassir says, you'd probably be better off paying the toll and getting into a property where you can walk in, within the next 6 months or so. And he did list out all the developers that you can look at between sector 81 to 95 in New Gurgaon. And like he said, the rates are nice, and look at buying into a resale property, you'll probably get yourself a good bargain. Right? Let's move on. Shashi Chetia has posted his query on our website again. He says he has a property in Vasai East. Now, he wants to know the future of this area. How much price appreciation can he expect in the next 2 years? Mudassir, would you advise him to stay invested for a longer time, because this would fall on the DMIC route, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes, we talked about it earlier as well. The VVMC, which is Vasai Virar Municipal Corporation, has been carved out, and they have got a lot of funds to build infrastructure, so this is going to take some time. The DMIC corridor is coming up, the dedicated freight corridor, and all these cities along that will come up. And the node nearest to Mumbai is near to VVMC as well. So once that comes about, this would be a very thriving area, and not just local guys who are working on and living there currently, but a lot more people will start looking at this area actively. My suggestion is he should be looking at this for the slightly longer term, for the next 5 years plus. He should look at this. And I think the rates here should start going up once infrastructure and demand starts going up. So obviously rates are currently in the range of 4,000 to 5,000 in that range, multiple developers, local as well as large ones. And this will start going up actively once these infrastructure and other things
Right, and
start coming about more.
in fact, Mudassir, we've already seen it picking up. It has stayed flat for a long time. If you can look at the chart on your screen, Shashi, right now, the rates over here have stayed flat for a long time, but nearing November, December, that is nearing the end of this year, you will see that rates have suddenly spiked in Vasai. They're trending at around 4,975 rupees per square foot right now. So, yeah, good time to buy into Vasai and stay invested, like Mudassir said, for the next 5+ years at least. Take full advantage of the Delhi-Mumbai Industrial Corridor. It's a humongous infrastructure project, and you should, benefit from that, especially if you're looking to buy into that market at this point in time. We are answering questions related to buying, selling and investing in property with our expert for the day, Mudassir Zaidi. You can get in touch with us. It's very easy to get in touch with us. Addresses and numbers are flashing on your screens right now. You can also post your questions on our website www.mbnow.in. Let's move on and take a question that's come in via email. Manik Trivedi has written in to us and he says, what are the growth prospects of investing in Ulve and Dronagiri? I'm looking for a 2 BHK, he says, and his budget is 40 lakh rupees. Mudassir, that's a location that's finding favor with a lot of buyers currently, also because of the airport that's coming up over there. What would you advise?
Yes, Kavita. Yes, the airport is one which has been on for the last many years. In fact, we had come out with an investment advisory report a couple of days ago, which was carried quite actively in the media. Ulve is actually our second best destination in the Mumbai region, the first being Mad Marve. And we expect about a 70% return coming in, or price appreciation coming in Ulve in the next 5 odd years. As I said, the Mumbai, the new airport is one reason. Apart from that, basically the entire employment generation that is that is going to happen, because a lot of ITS companies are going to be taking up space in this particular region. About 300,000 jobs will be available in this region, and therefore a lot more people will be staying in and around Navi Mumbai, and Ulve will provide a lot of that supply in times to come. Thirdly, you have the Seawoods Oran Railway, coming up, which is also going to provide added mobility to the population that will live here. So these three regions, these three reasons will provide the added impetus to this region. I would definitely propose Ulve much higher than Dronagiri in this particular region, and 40 lakh budget will get him, a smaller 2 BHK, and he should look at this region very actively.
Right, Ulve is a better bet than Dronagiri, and if you can look at the chart that we are showing you on the screen right now, rates have zoomed up 13%, and this is when the rest of the market has largely stayed flat over the last 1 year. So you can see that airport is already giving a lot of momentum to this particular market, and like Mudassir told you, we can expect like a 70% upside over here over the next 5-6 years, primarily because of the airport. Mudassir, before we move on, one thing that I wanted to ask you over here. Now, the Maharashtra government, or CIDCO for that matter, is also developing a whole new city near the airport called Naina. Now, there is a lot of supply that is going to come into this market. Do you see that impacting the Ulve micro market in any way?
See, overall, among the in the overall Mumbai market, job creation is one thing which takes a very, very important role in which area comes about. There is not too much of supply which is coming in the other areas. The entire Thane Velapur belt, is getting a lot more office supply, which is going to come up. So I had mentioned about 300,000 jobs will actually get created in this area in the next 5 odd years, which will be, and people prefer not traveling too far away from where their place of work is. So my understanding is that a lot more people will begin to live in Navi Mumbai and be closer to their place of work rather than traveling from elsewhere. Because as you know, in Mumbai, north-south travel is easier. East-west travel is far more difficult. So a lot more people will live in this area, and therefore the supply that's coming up definitely is quite humongous. But the demand will also be commensurate to that. So my sense is it should not be as worrisome.
Okay, so though you're going to see a lot of supply coming into the market, that should not really impact because there will be an equal amount of jobs created in the area. And like you know, in Mumbai, jobs is what drives demand for homes. People want to live close to the office and, you know, get out of traveling too much within the city, right? So, Manik, good choice there. Go ahead, invest in Ulve. Next, we have a question that's coming in on our website. Subhash has sent in this query. He says, is Neherpar in Faridabad a good location for future investment? Mudassir, what would you say?
Say Neherpar, first let me talk about Faridabad as a location and then come to Neherpar. See, Faridabad in the NCR region, as compared to the other towns, has not really been able to really get its place under the sun. You know, it has been Gurgaon, Noida, and Greater Noida to a large extent, which has taken the major part of the pie, largely because largely because how the economy in India has developed. So Faridabad and Ghaziabad have remained industrial based towns, whereas Gurgaon, Noida, and Greater Noida have converted themselves to services based and especially ITES. So a lot more people who work in Gurgaon, Noida actually live in these areas, which has resulted in these areas really getting the demand for office as well as residential, because as I said, people want to live nearer to their place of work. Faridabad, on the other hand, has not been able to convert itself from industrial into the services sector. However, now in the recent past, because of metro connectivity going up to Faridabad from Delhi, that has kind of made accessibility back to Delhi far easier. Plus, the highways from Faridabad into Gurgaon has made travel easier from between these two cities, and eventually the Faridabad, Noida, Ghaziabad, the FNG expressway which will come in will increase accessibility to the UP side of NCR as well.
Right.
So eventually, Faridabad will become a very good place to stay in, because accessibility to places of work in Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida will get far more easier.
So
Now, within
right.
Faridabad, Neherpar is obviously an area which is the newer developed area. And this is one area where a lot more new construction is coming in, and it is far more planned in itself. So definitely looking at, in the longer term scenario for Faridabad plus Neherpar being the newer and more planned area, my suggestion is that if he's looking at this area, certainly can look at it. There are going to be options available which will be similarly priced in Noida, or rather Greater Noida, and the further areas, New Gurgaon areas or south of Gurgaon areas available, which will compete with Faridabad. So Neherpar area is a decent area to look at. If he's already invested in, continue to stay invested. In the longer term, you will make money. If he's looking at fresh investment, then also evaluate areas in Greater Noida and south of Gurgaon.
Right. Mudassir, very quickly, we know that Faridabad has been selected is one of the cities that has been shortlisted among the 98 to become a smart city. Also, there is this entire Make in India thrust that is happening, which is expected to boost manufacturing. How is all of that going to impact the Faridabad market? We were looking a little bit sometime earlier at the Neherpar property rates. Rates are trending around 3,580 over here. And what kind of upside are you really looking at if he does stay invested, say, over the next 5 to 7 years?
See, all these initiatives that are being planned out, which is the smart city aspect as well as the Make in India progress, I think they will definitely have positive impact overall. However, all these would take some time. This is not going to happen in the next year or two.
But what is
this
the
will
upside
be
that we can expect over here?
It will take much longer, anywhere between 5 years plus for any significant impact of these initiatives to come on property prices in these areas. The immediate driver would be accessibility to Delhi and other areas in Gurgaon and Noida. But in the longer term, definitely manufacturing is something that the government has clearly identified as one focus area for itself. And Faridabad, with its industrial background, will definitely stand to gain.
Right. We have a caller now on the phone line with us. I'm told Mr. Sharma has called in. Mr. Sharma, tell us, what's your question?
मेरा क्वेश्चन है मैडम कि मेरे पास एक ग्रेटर नोएडा में प्लॉट है, मैं उसे बेचकर नोएडा में सेक्टर 105 एक्सप्रेस हाईवे पर लूं या सेक्टर 74 में कैप टाउन वगैरह का, इन दोनों में से कहां पर मेरा इन्वेस्टमेंट ज्यादा बेटर रहेगा?
शर्मा जी, आपकी आवाज ठीक से नहीं आ रही है, तो एक बार आपसे फिर से पूछ ले रही हूँ। सेक्टर 105 या सेक्टर 74 कहा ना आपने?
जी जी जी।
ठीक है, आपको इन्वेस्ट करना है। आपका बजट कितना है?
मेरा बजट 1.5
करोड़ इनका बजट है। सेक्टर 74 या सेक्टर 105, मुदस्सिर क्या कहेंगे आप?
If I hear him right, he's talking about 105 in Noida, right?
Right, 105 in Noida Expressway.
Right. My suggestion would be that he looks at the expressway more actively than the other one. In the recent past, as well in the future, we are seeing that a lot more people preferring the expressway and the projects coming up on both sides of the expressway as far more in demand. So my suggestion is that in that price, he would get multiple options there. He should look at 105 over the 74 that he's looking at.
शर्मा जी, सेक्टर 105 वहां पर निवेश बेहतर रहेगा, मुदस्सिर का कहना है। ठीक है,
ठीक है।
तो जाइए, आप प्रॉपर्टी ढूंढिए, और अगर कोई प्रॉब्लम है तो हमारे पास आ जाइए, अपना सवाल लेकर आ जाइए, जवाब दिलवा देंगे आपको। ठीक है, थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर कॉलिंग इन। With that, it's a wrap on today's show of Property Hotline. Mudassir, thank you very much for joining in. We'll be back on Monday to answer all your questions again on buying, selling, or investing in property. Till then, keep watching Magicbricks Now.